I've got something to say, you should hear it. Oh, I'm happy to make time for your feelings, but you have to admit I already do. Let's just break it down to you and me uptown, dancing all around till the disco ball pops. But I have to be me, and everyone can see your anger is misplaced, and I'm gonna tell ya, don't hate me 'cause I get attention. Don't turn me into what I'm not. I have to be me 24/7, and I ain't never gonna stop. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Oh, no, no, no. No, oh, oh, oh. And I ain't never gonna stop. Come on. Listen to me. I've tried so many times to tell you this is as good as I can be. Why isn't it enough to be faithful and also be the hit of the party? Let's just...
Hello everyone and welcome to the podcast. I don't know exactly how many viewers are here. Looks like we got about 7 people. That's good. Sorry, I started this earlier and it crashed, but some of you guys might recognize that song. I've used that in several intros of various different things. It's kind of a cool little jam, especially since it's royalty free. I like it because I won't get docked for playing it. That's always a plus. So today we're going to be not taking any callers, so I am really sorry if you were excited for that. I'll get that out of the way right now. And if you're watching this in post, thank you. We're just going to be talking about some general FPS things. I also might burp several times on stream because I ate and drank soda, and my friends like, get online, we're going to play some Modern Warfare 3, and I was like, sure. Well, I go to do that, and suddenly I realize I didn't do my fucking podcast this week yet, so we're doing it now because tomorrow I will not have any time to do so. Alright, so I made a little list of topics, and we will look at these in a second. I feel like, okay, so we have about 7 viewers. So yeah, you guys probably are either going to bed, playing video games. Maybe I interrupted your Netflix time. Maybe I interrupted your Netflix and chill time. Hopefully not that. But we are just going to be talking still. Let's start off with some topics here. So we're going to talk about general FPS things, and it's just best to start this kind of stuff. It's always awkward to just start a list of topics out of nowhere. And these aren't in any particular context other than you guys know my channel. So we're going to talk about a thing I complain about quite often to my friends and to my girlfriend because they're my sounding boards. And it's this stupid fucking notion. I shouldn't start off like that. Sorry, that's not professional. There's this stupid fucking notion that let's say, okay, so example, if a game had a lot, like a first-person shooter had a lot of okay, any game has a lot of weapons. Okay, lots of weapons, gadgets, and types of things you can do. It's not real. The idea is that it's not real variety if it's not all competitively viable. So that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous idea. So and where I first started hearing this was from Battlefield fans. And of course, when I'm going to turn up my mic a little bit, so it might get a little louder, so you might have to turn down your volume. Okay, so I heard this from Battlefield fans when Battlefield 1 came out. And when people would complain about the lack of variety in Battlefield 1, some people would respond by saying, well, Battlefield 1 has true variety because it has less weapons, but they're all competitively viable in different ways. Well, one, I don't think that's true when it comes to Battlefield 1. I think there is a hierarchy of weapons, and I'll talk about that later. But the idea that because a game has the game had, let's say you had a game that had like 100 guns, like Battlefield 4, but a lot of them aren't competitively viable, you know? They're not the optimal weapon. The idea that those are somehow not competitive, or sorry, they don't count as variety, is ridiculous. Oh, they're not viable. Well, viability and variety are two different discussions. For instance, I don't understand the point of using the Igla launcher in Battlefield 4. I just don't. I'm not going to waste my time trying to hold lock on a helicopter, trying to guide. If you guys haven't played Battlefield 4, this will be very random, but I don't want to waste my time with the Igla launcher because you have to hold the lock on helicopters in Battlefield in order to take them out or hit them. So you're thinking, well, that can go past flares, but yeah, you're spending so much time to just injure them. Whereas I think it's better to overwhelm them with multiple rockets. That's why most players use the Stinger. That's my personal preference. That's a lot of people's personal preference, is to use the Stinger instead of the Igla. So because the Igla is not as well used, because it's not as versatile, does that mean does that mean it doesn't add variety? It does add variety because it's a different way to take down air support. It's a different means of taking out air support. You have to use it differently. This stimulates our minds. The reason people like more things is because even if they're not the most viable or the most optimal way to take something out, even if they're not the best assault rifle or launcher or tool, equipment, or gadget, even so, it might mean a lot to somebody because they want the ability to use something other than the most optimal. Maybe they like that idea. Okay. So, I'll give you an example here. In the big one is Battlefield 4, because Battlefield 4 gets picked on for not having proper variety. Look, okay, so let's say the AK-12 is not as good as the M416. But what if I get tired of using the M416? Let's say, for the point of discussion, that I just don't like using the same shit every time, you know? So maybe I want to use the AK-12. It looks different, it sounds different, so you have that nice aesthetic difference. It has its own set of challenges and things to unlock for it, including mastery. Okay, so those are good things. Those are all things. So that's a kind of you have some arbitrary rewards, some attachment rewards, and an aesthetic difference. And then you have the fact that it doesn't fire at the exact same fire rate. It doesn't have the exact same recoil pattern. So, and also, in Battlefield 4, since it's a Russian weapon, it would have a different set of attachments. Or looking attachments, which is more aesthetic differences, but some people really do prefer the Coyote sight to the Cobra sight. And the American Red Dot sight most people don't want to use. So that's important. That's really important. So I thoroughly reject the notion that something isn't really variety. Oh, it's not real variety because it's not viable. Fuck you. That's two different things. Maybe I wouldn't go into a competitive lobby. Yeah, I wouldn't go into a competitive match with certain guns and attachments and things because they're not very optimal. But that has nothing to do with variety. So I reject the idea that a game the more a game, okay, well, the more weapons a game has, it's harder to balance it and make sure they are all individual weapons that have their own niches and reasons to use and reasons to not use. That's hard the more weapons you start piling in. But the reason I think it's worth it is because of games like Battlefield 4, Battlefield 3, Battlefield Hardline, Modern Warfare 2 and 3, and Black Ops 1. Those have and Call of Duty Ghost. Yes, the meta is really centered around maybe 5 guns per game. Okay? And even barely that. Most games come down to 2 weapons. I'll talk about that later. Most games come down to 2 weapons. It's important to know. But the reason I think Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Call of Duty Ghosts, and Advanced Warfare to a good extent because of the amount of variety with the variants, and Infinite Warfare, and then, yes, Battlefield 4, 3, and Hardline, their variety has added to replayability. Yes, I think someone said that in the chat just there. It adds to replayability. Why wouldn't it? Maybe the ACR is the best gun in MW3. The ACR 6.8 is the best fucking assault rifle, let's just say in all of video game history. Fine. I like the CM901 or the C90M1. I forget exactly what it's called. I like that gun. I like the way its sights look. I like the way it sounds. I like the way it kicks. I think it's fun to use. And then when I'm done, and then again, it has its own set of challenges. Some of them reward you with attachments, and other things are more arbitrary, cosmetic, or just status things that says, oh, look, you got a lot of kills with a certain gun. But no, I really do think the people that say that aren't critically thinking. Because, yes, a competitive... Okay, Overwatch. Overwatch is a good game. Part of the problems I have with it... I should say, I have problems with Overwatch. Did I say Overwatch or Rainbow Six? I'm trying... Overwatch is good, but one of the things I like about it is even if it's not the best team composition or the most optimal setup, I can use a hero that plays drastically different than a different hero and have fun with that. If I couldn't do that, I'd be sad. Duh. I mean, Overwatch is... I did a video a while back comparing Battlefield 4 to Overwatch. And my point was that what's cool is that every hero plays almost like a different video game in Overwatch. And you can set up any of your loadouts in Battlefield 4 to feel like an entirely different type of shooter. And I think that's awesome. Now, I do think when it comes to bolt-action sniper rifles, there's only like 3 worth using. But again, because of the aesthetic difference, because of the cosmetic differences between the guns, and the fact that every gun has its own set of challenges and rewards for completing those challenges, that adds variety and replayability. The idea that only the casuals that don't know any better like that is ridiculous. Is absolutely ridiculous. It's an important... I call it a feature. Okay, so let's use another... Can I use another example of that? Well, it's just the idea of having more toys is a really good way to put it. One of the things I have to give to the last 3 Call of Duty games is they gave me toys. They gave me weird weapons, wind-up 3-round burst sniper rifles, shotgun pistols. Well, those are in other games as well. Black Ops 3 didn't do it the best, but Advanced Warfare for sure. Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare had so many weird gadgets and launchers and secondaries and primaries, and it was fun. And then with Infinite Warfare, they would add them in post, and it was really fun. The railgun in Infinite Warfare is not that good. But it's cool that you can go in and have an entirely different play experience because of a certain type of weapon. So, yes, maybe the SKS is the best DMR, the most versatile DMR in Battlefield 4. But I really liked the mod 0 with a 4x scope, a flash hider, and a bipod. So, so that's kind of fun. Okay. So how long did that take to rant about that? 15 minutes? Good God, I'm nowhere near my goal. Okay, so... Oh god, my chair is squeaky, guys. Fuck, okay. So yeah, if anybody ever tells you that certain guns, like a game with a lot of guns doesn't have real variety, just tell them that viability and variety are two different discussions. Because it is a problem if a game has 100 guns and only 3 are technically viable. But at the same time, the other guns do matter, in the sense that it might give somebody a lot of replayability for the aesthetic and arbitrary changes. So the next thing, let's see, where can I go into that? You know what? I'll segue right into something else right after I glance at the chat here for a second. Wow, we got more viewers. Okay, sweet. What's your favorite porn type? This is not a Q&A. And yeah, hentai's cool. Yeah, well, the chat's pretty boring, except for the porn question. No, that doesn't mean do it again. Okay, so moving on here. Another point I see a lot, and this one's also pretty flawed, is the idea that if everything's overpowered, then nothing is overpowered. If everything is overpowered, then nothing is overpowered. I'm gonna run an ad here, guys, and then and some of you guys will see it. So I'll wait a little bit to talk about this. So let's see why this ad is running for the people that aren't seeing the ad. Why? Let me know what you guys like. Let me know if you're watching this in post. Comment what you think is wrong with the statement. And I would like to know if you just pause the stream or just mute me for a second and think about it. If everything is powerful, then nothing is overpowered. Another way people say it is if everything's OP, nothing's OP. Whew. If you can figure out what's wrong with that statement without having to be told, you're a fucking head and shoulders above a lot of people. Because that doesn't do anything. And I'll explain to you how. So hopefully you've muted me or you've paused me and you're thinking about this for yourself. Or maybe you're just really excited to see what I'm going to say. I don't know what you fuckers are up to. Okay, so if everything is powerful, then nothing is overpowered. Wrong. Something will always float to the top. If to the proverbial pyramid. So you have to think of everything in your life, anything with multiple things in your life can be put into a hierarchical pyramid. Okay, for instance, on the desk next to me as I'm talking, I have some Kingdom Hearts figures that I ordered they were on sale, and I don't respect my money. No, I really wanted these guys. So I have 4 here. And I really like all 4 of these figures from Kingdom Hearts. I have for you guys might not know what this is, but I have a Heartless, a Dusk, King Mickey, and Sora. Just in these figures, these action figures sitting next to me, there is a hierarchical structure. In a sense, it's not really a hierarchy because they're inanimate objects, but I rank them. Subconsciously or consciously. Make sure you're doing this kind of stuff consciously, and this all will come together here. So, the thing is, out of all 4 figures, I kind of think I like Sora and the Dusk the best. The Dusk is creepy, and Sora is one of my favorite video game characters. Then it's like maybe Mickey and Heartless, and I could think about it, and I could kind of rank them a little bit. Okay, so maybe you've owned 3 phones in your life. What one's your favorite? They all worked fine, but what one was your favorite? Maybe if you looked at your Steam library or your Xbox or PlayStation library of games and you saw how many you have, yes, they're all games and they all can be perceived a million different ways by a million different people, but which ones do you like more? Which ones float to the top of your pyramid? Okay, so you have a group of friends. You all play video games, you all suck each other's dicks. I don't know, you all play soccer, you all play baseball, you all have naked sleepovers. That's what girls do, right? They go to sleepovers, they just get naked and have pillow fights. I still like to think that's a thing. I don't. My girlfriend's like, no, girls don't do that. It's like, can they please do? No. Okay. So you all have a group of friends and you all do these things together, whatever they might be. There is a hierarchical structure in your friends group positively. If you walked up to a group of 4 guys, all talking, hanging out, and you said, and this was actually a vine from, I think, something Sanders, I forget his name. But anyway, he walked up to like 3 dudes, like in every group of friends, there's a dumb one. Without hesitation, they all point at one of their friends. Do you not realize the significance of this? This is in the animal kingdom. This is biological. The intelligent, the assertive, the aggressive, the astute, the meek, they rise to the top. If you guys don't know what meek is, it's basically someone with a sword and the knowledge, then someone with a sword and the wisdom about when to use it and when to not use it. So basically a wise, so the wise and the strong is a really good way to boil it down. The wise and the strong will always float to the top. So if I walked up to you and your group of friends, and like every group of friends has the whore, you'd all point to one person. There might be a little disagreement. Maybe somebody points at someone else. For the most part, you'll all point at the same person. Everyone has the guy that can't stop eating. They all point at one person. Everyone has the guy who's really stupid. They all point to one person. Everyone has the guy who always thinks he's the smartest. They all point to one person. They will always do that. We form these hierarchical structures without realizing them. Once you realize them, it's way more fun to play with them and enjoy them and understand them, and it makes you a much more wise person. So everything will have a hierarchical structure of some kind. Everything is getting categorized and stacked. Now, the people at the bottom, the stupid people, the whores, the people, the overweight people, they're not useless. They're not bad. But in a group of people, you might be the dumb one. In another group of people, you might be the smart one. It's all relative to where you are. See, going back to the analogy I gave about the Kingdom Hearts figures. Now, I like all 4 of these figures. I think I like Sora and the Dusk the best. God, if you guys don't know Kingdom Hearts, you guys don't know. But so I like 2 out of 4 the best, and the other 2 are almost tied towards the bottom. So that's only relative to these figures here. If, let's say, I bought instead of like a $20 figure, I have a $70 Sora figure with a whole stand and glass case. If he was added into the mix of these figures, he might bump up to the top. Does that mean these are worth any less? No, they had and have their value. They have, and will have their value. But when something is introduced, it will change the value. That's why when someone new enters your group of friends, they're very awkward, and you're going to be very awkward towards them because you don't know where they are in the hierarchy yet. Where are you? Are you smart? Are you stupid? What are you? Can you take a joke? Okay, so let's go back to what we're talking about. If everything is powerful, then nothing is overpowered. Everything OP, then nothing's really OP. Wrong. This was the problem that Syndrome had in the first Incredibles movie. He wanted to give everyone superpowers. And what was his line? When everyone's super, no one will be. He was wrong. Someone would always be more powerful. Think about it this way. Okay, so in real life, we have no superpowers for the most part. I don't know anybody that does. So let's just say there's no superpowers. Reasonable statement. There are still people that are stronger than you, braver than you, smarter than you. I'm not personally attacking you. They're smarter, stronger, and braver than me. Okay? These might be soldiers or police officers. They might literally just be a gamer that plays in his basement, but he might be all those things better than you. So even on a level playing field, and obviously we're not all on a level playing field. Some of us don't have the money for education. Some of us live in bad areas. Some people are born into war zones. But let's just say, in a lot of areas in America and the UK and other free nations, you have this equality of opportunity. Okay? Even on that equal playing field, some people are fucking better than you, and that's just it. There's some... People trace it back to postmodernism, but the idea that, you know, everyone is worth the same is wrong. My friend just texted me that he has a super penis. Jesus Christ, Dylan. Thanks for watching, buddy. Buy Modern Warfare 3 if you're watching this. Don't make me come down there. Okay, so here's the thing. Even in a level playing field, somebody's smarter than you, someone's braver than you. So, of course, if everyone was super, it would just come down to then who's the most super. Who has the most superpowers? So, yeah, I mean, fucking watch Infinity War. So many superpowered people in Infinity War, but who's the most powerful? You know? As soon as... So everything's categorized. Everything's in a hierarchical structure. So, you guys already see where I'm going, right? If everything's OP, then nothing's overpowered. Wrong. Something will always float to the top of the proverbial pyramid. If, let's say, every weapon in every game was the one-shot kill, was a one-shot kill, which is like the ultimate level playing ground for any weapon selection, then you would gravitate to the gun that has the highest rounds per minute, or the lowest recoil combined with the highest rounds per minute. So maybe it doesn't fire at 100,000 RPM. That would be ridiculous. Jesus. Okay, it doesn't fire at 1,000 RPM. It fires at 800 RPM, but it has lower recoil than the 1,000 RPM gun. So you found like this balance between recoil and RPM. Then biggest magazine, but fastest movement speed. Most attachment options, but fastest draw time. So even if everything was a one-shot kill hit scan in every game, which would be a nightmare for people with high ping, Jesus, or a nightmare for people having to fight people with high ping, Jesus Christ. But okay, so you have all these issues. You would still gravitate to something else. Everything's a one-shot kill. Think about Rainbow Six. Everything in Rainbow Six is a one-shot headshot. But why are some guns better than others? So even in a everything dies in one shot meta, with every game, let's just say, you would still gravitate towards the gun that kicks less, is easier to use, is faster to draw, with better range or better recoil. You can work to balance weapons based on roles and playstyles. That's important. But something will still be more overpowered than something else to varying degrees. I think Black Ops 3, other than the specialists, has a very balanced roster of weapons. But people still gravitate to a couple. Usually in Call of Duty, it's the most versatile. It's almost never the highest damaging gun. It's almost never the highest damaging gun. If you played Infinite Warfare, you probably died by the NV4 assault rifle several times, all the time. It's probably the only gun you died by. It actually isn't the fastest killing weapon. Why would people use it? It's not even the highest DPS weapon. Well, it's the easiest to use. It's usable at just about every range. It's aesthetically pleasing to look at. There's nothing weird about it. If it had a 15-round magazine, if it had really bad recoil, if it had a slow draw time, maybe it wouldn't be used. The only way you can have a completely level playing field is if every gun in a shooter, and I'll make a whole video on this, the only way you're ever going to have it be perfect is if every gun has the exact same stats. Same RPM, same amount of kick, same recoil pattern. Everything would have to be the same. Well, shit. What if, I'm talking about stats, but there's aesthetics. So what if a gun has better iron sights? Shit. What do you do with that? What if a gun takes up a little less screen real estate so you have more screen to look at? So, for instance, think of what's the double-barreled SMG from Titanfall 2? It takes up almost no screen space, like a pistol, like a little pistol. Maybe that's the best gun because they all have the exact same stats, but the pistol takes up the least amount of screen space. So you have more screen to look at. M9 meta, Glock meta. Maybe there's like a snub-nosed revolver, and that's the one everyone uses. And so someone just commented, MW2, if everything's overpowered, nothing's overpowered. There were still overpowered guns. The ACR ruled the roost. The stopping power M16 ruled the roost. Noob tubes ruled the roost. Something will always rule. An attachment, a perk, a gun, a loadout combination, a team composition. Something will always rule. You cannot make everything overpowered unless you make everything the same down to its aesthetics. If everybody had to use an M4 with the exact same stats, and it has the exact same stats, everything has the exact same stats, reload speed, range, recoil, everything has the... That's the only way you're going to get that sort of utopia. Sorry, Modern Warfare 2 is not a balanced game. Everything kills fast in Modern Warfare 3 too. Modern Warfare 3 has pretty much the same TTK as Modern Warfare 2. But everyone gravitates to the ACR. Why? Does it do the most damage? No, but it's the easiest to use. Okay, I can fight somebody across the map in Modern Warfare 3. I can fight a sniper. A sniper! Someone that's dedicated to a long-range role. I can take them out from across the map with the Scar L with about 6 shots. And I don't really have to aim too hard with the kick perk on. So, does that mean the game's balanced because everything's easy to use? No, there's still gonna be something you gravitate towards. There's still gonna be about 4 or 5 guns you gravitate towards. I used to hate people that said that because the idea is that it should all be worth it. Even if every gun is good, every gun is viable, then it becomes about degrees. The varying degree of viability. Think about that. Even if everything is balanced, it becomes down to the varying degrees of viability. So, stay smart. But so this leads me to my next thing. Okay, so a big thing, that would go over a lot of casual gamers' heads. Not because they're stupid, it's just because they don't invest a lot of time into gaming. And maybe they play a lot of video games, but they don't watch videos about it. They don't think critically about them. They just play them when they're in their off time. I had a friend who played video games. He played them every night, just about. And I always knew more than him, even though he had about the same playtime as I did. So casual doesn't mean you're stupid. He just didn't really care. So what I just described about the hierarchical structure of everything and how something will always gravitate towards the top unless you really do have a cookie cutter, everything's the same society, which is awful, by the way. Equality of outcome is fucking stupid. And it roughly translates to the same thing. Well, it relates slightly. Almost dismissed that, but I'm almost onto a point there. The average gamer doesn't give a shit, and it kind of bothers me because, and this is just a rant, this is honestly just a tangent, but it's annoying that the average gamer doesn't think critically or tactically about any of their games, and they just play them. They always do poorly, they always do at least worse. You know, they're at the bottom of the proverbial pyramid, the hierarchical structure. They're always at the bottom, they're always frustrated. I mean, yes, their brain enjoys the challenge of the game, but they're not gonna fully enjoy the game because they don't understand it. They're not putting any time to actually learn from their mistakes. They scream after every death. God, I get really mad when I play games, but I've had to learn to stop screaming after every death because that'll make you so much worse, and I don't want to be that guy. And it's annoying to play with because then you have teammates that don't. And in case anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, I'm currently talking about the fact that the average gamer doesn't understand half the shit I would talk about. And again, that doesn't mean they're stupid. God, I mean, I'm good. I know all this stuff about gaming, but don't ask me algebra questions. Don't ask me about science. I don't know anything about those things. We all fit into different hierarchies in different ways. And I could do better in a lot of other areas. But it's just annoying to me because I go and I play online and there are so many people that don't understand anything I'm talking about. They're the people that think that FMJ increases damage in Call of Duty. I met somebody, I am constantly reminded that the average person that plays games is a normie. I'm not saying that in a derogatory fashion. I'm not trying to make fun. I'm not trying to be elitist. I'm not trying to be gatekeeping. But when I talk to somebody in the firing range in COD World War II and they're like, yeah, I use FMJ to increase damage, it's like, why? It doesn't do it. It's like, yeah, it does. It says on the stats it increases damage. And through walls, too. I'm like, only through walls. FMJ increases damage only through walls. It only increases the amount of damage after the bullet goes through the wall. Really? Yeah. I think it kills faster. I'm like, nah, that's a placebo, man. I don't know. And I'm like, look it up. And he didn't even know what to look up. He didn't know where. Like, watch a drifter video. Fucking look, Google up. Does FMJ increase damage? So many people don't do that. So it's 1,000 full tipped money again. Man, you need to stop encouraging my behavior. So this sounds super elite. Thank you so much, though. Man, it's getting hard to thank you. And so, yeah, I'm a little buggered about that because, you know, you go to play online and your teammates are bad and they don't understand what's going on and they don't understand what you're talking about and they're super fucking normie casuals. And it's like, fuck, I have to remember that the average person is like that. People that listen to these types of podcasts and watch these types of videos are a rare... Fucking God, I'm puking. Sorry, pulling an H3 over here. Just okay, some people really don't like that noise. I shouldn't do that on podcast. Okay, so... But the thing is, the people that listen to these types of podcasts and watch my type of channel is a very rare breed of person. And when you live in your own bubble for so long, like I do, like you kind of forget that, like, oh shit, people have lives outside of games. And that's sometimes like car people. God, ever talk to somebody about about movies or cars or sports teams, and they're like, they're like, oh, what do you think of the game last night? And you're like, what game? And they're like, what do you mean, what game? What do you mean? Oh, 1,000 Fool left a message. Let me see what this is. I agree with you, Boom. These are good points. I'm the guy in a group who punches a wall just to see if it would hurt. There are worse things to do with your time. Thank you for the donation, 1,000 Fool. You guys want to kick 1,000 Fool off that board? Just give me like 6 donations. Kick his name off of there. Let's try to beat 1,000 Fool. I'm kidding, but fight for my amusement and my wallet. But I have to remember that a lot of people they don't know, they don't care. So like, yeah, I've talked to like people about like they'll be like, have you seen this movie? I'm like, no, and they're like, what? You haven't seen this movie? My poor girlfriend. I did that to her when she hadn't seen Star Wars yet, and I just fucking like freaked out. You haven't seen Star Wars? It's like I forget that some people don't care about that stuff or didn't have time. She didn't have time. She had a kind of a hectic, rough childhood. But I brought her over here. I sat her in front of my TV, and I'm just like, you're going to watch these. And we watched all 6 of them. And everything except for the first halves of episode 1 and 2, she loved dearly. And she's like, she follows like Star Wars blogs and stuff on Tumblr. And I think she watches like Star Wars videos on YouTube now. And that's cool. Same with Final Fantasy. She's like, I've never played a Final Fantasy. I'm like, you've never played a I'm freaking out on her and got her into Final Fantasy 15, and now she loves Noctis, the main character. So maybe she gets into things just for me. I don't know. I trust that she wouldn't spend her time doing things she doesn't like. So that's, you know, so we do forget that some people don't live in our worlds, in our lives. And so yeah, if you talk to somebody, you know, they don't know a porn star or what the name or a certain car or something, it's like, what? You don't know what that is? You know, it's like, yeah, okay. So okay, so let's talk about Call of Duty some more, guys. Gonna talk about Call of Duty. I don't do that enough. I make fun of it, but honestly, I do like Call of Duty. I enjoy playing it. to varying degrees at varying times. So let's talk about that. Okay. So there's an FPS narrative that is spread upon the critical sides of YouTube and Reddit. And I kind of want to punch a fucking hole in it for a second here. There's an idea that there are... How am I supposed to say this? Because I don't want to then contradict myself later, because they're not... The narrative isn't totally wrong, but it's wrong in the worst way. It's wrong in a very important way, I should say. So, okay. The narrative is that certain games don't take skill, and other games do take skill. Well, yes. We talked about hierarchical structures earlier. There's always going to be games that are harder than other games, especially within the same franchise. I think Black Ops 1 is harder than all of the Modern Warfare games. But it's, of course, relative to that game. I'll get into that more in a second. A really good example is that people talk about Dark Souls. If you've never heard of that. People talk about Dark Souls all the time. Ever heard of Dark Souls, everybody? Has anybody not heard of Dark Souls? I don't know. Maybe no one's heard of Dark Souls here. So Dark Souls is this really hard RPG. Very hard. Very difficult. Very trial and error. A lot of trial and error RNG bullshit if you ask me, but you know, it's still stuff you can learn and get good at. Well, I like to make the joke because people say that, oh, like Crash Bandicoot is the Dark Souls of platformers. And I'm like, these people haven't played the first Kingdom Hearts. Dark Souls is Kingdom Hearts 1. Is the Kingdom Hearts 1 of Western RPGs. Kingdom Hearts 1 is very hard. Because nothing's on autopilot in Kingdom Hearts 1, and it's it's more technical than you might think, and some boss fights will instantly or two-hit KO you if you didn't roll at the right time. Of course, it doesn't have all the other things that makes a Souls game, but in terms of difficult boss fights that give you very little room to be a stupid idiot, Kingdom Hearts is right up there. So, then, what am I saying? What I'm saying is, games are obviously to varying degrees of difficulty and technicality. Some games are more technical, some games are more harder, some games are more difficult and harder to learn and have stricter metas, yes. That's not something you can really dispute, that there's harder games. But, see, the thing is, and nobody... Call of Duty takes skill. Takes actually a good amount of skill. Despite the common first-person shooter player narrative. And the narrative people like to spin you is that there are difficult and hard games that take skill, and then there's these casual games. Well, there are games that are less technical. But this would go for anything. People think that I'm defending Call of Duty. God, I could do the same thing for... Okay, I think Counter-Strike is a more competitive, strict metagame than Battlefield. I think Rainbow Six is actually harder than Battlefield because Battlefield gives you room to breathe, whereas Rainbow Six fucking doesn't. So I'll say Rainbow Six is harder than Battlefield. That doesn't mean that Battlefield is bad. And if I was using Battlefield as the example, I'd be seen as a Battlefield fanboy. So I'm fucked either way. So Call of Duty it is. Skill is relative. And that's a fact. Skill is relative to the game you're playing. Every game you play will take a certain set of skills and it'll have a certain set of rules that you have to abide by. It's not an option. When you play COD, you have to play by COD rules, not Battlefield rules, not Rainbow rules, not Ghost Recon rules, not Halo rules, not Doom rules, not Destiny rules, not a Milsim rule. You have to play by Call of Duty's rules when you're playing Call of Duty. That's a fact. Well, it doesn't even have rules. It's easy casual. Well, it's easier than other games. It has less to learn. It is more intuitive than other games. But the thing, people don't like that fact. That fact makes people mad, and they don't want to talk about that because it doesn't help the notion that they hold Sounds like some Alex Jones shit, but it's true. Their idea is that they're playing, and this is in a lot of people's minds, they're playing, especially when it comes to Call of Duty or anti-COD stuff, is that they're playing the better game. They're playing the better game. What a fuckfest. Oh, man. You're not playing the better game by playing Call of Duty. Or by not playing Call of Duty. But the thing is it shoots down the... it shoots down the elitist narrative that some people have to cling onto in order to feel good about themselves. Sounds petty what I'm saying, right? But it's true. This is very true. Because the thing is, the reason no one wants to hear that is that the moment you realize that skill is relative to each game that you're playing, each game has its own set of skills, meta, rules to learn, and game sense. God, you have to have game sense in even easy games, even casual baby games. You have to have a sense of the game. It's to varying degrees of technicality, or varying degrees of what you need to be involved in, but it's still relative. Why would I care that Battlefield has a wider variety of skills required than Call of Duty when I'm playing Call of Duty? It doesn't matter. I'm not battling someone in Battlefield. I'm battling someone in COD. So people say, well, baseball's harder than football. Well, football is more physically demanding than soccer. Well, soccer isn't as demanding as hockey. It's like, well, a hockey player isn't playing against a soccer player, playing against a hockey player. They have to play against that rule set on that rink. They have to play that way. There's a meta. There's techniques that they have to learn, even if it's not as physically demanding. Okay, chess isn't as physically demanding as football, but chess is still something you have to learn and get a feel for and have experiences in. It's the same for Call of Duty. Now, it's probably easier to master checkers than chess, but you can still get your ass kicked by a good checkers player, and I've had it happen to me. So what people... And it's really funny. I've never, in my ever, met somebody that thinks Call of Duty is easy and is good at it. Now, I do have one friend who is way above average. I think I'm above average, and then I think he's above me. And he says that certain Call of Duty games are easy to him. But what about the people he's wiping the floor with? Call of Duty's easy to him because he plays it. He's played it a lot. He's learned from his mistakes. I think he's done competitive stuff as well, more so than I have. So what about the people he's kicking? If it's an easy game, he should be getting his ass kicked. The idea that somebody can be better than you is the reason we play any online competitive first-person game. I'm not meaning better than you. I mean that someone's always better than someone else in general. So, okay, so you're listening to this podcast and you're not playing Call of Duty. Let's say you're a Call of Duty player. While you're not playing Call of Duty, somebody is playing Call of Duty. And if they play more COD than you, or they at least play it in a smarter way, or they have even some natural talent to boot, when you go up against them in a match, they will kick your ass and make you like it. This wouldn't happen if these games didn't take any skill. It might be less technical skill. It might be an easier skill to acquire over time. It might be more intuitive. But the notion that it's... well... the notion that it is just an easy game that takes no skill, which is what I hear a lot, is wrong. It busts down the elitist narrative. Battlefield players get up in their little elitist nests about playing Battlefield, and the milsim players think they're above them. When I'm like, okay, hey, tactical, super cool, badass military milsim player guy. Milsims are not the pinnacle of skill. Come down to COD. Well, COD's just an easy kid game. Okay, then come down and kick my ass in it. Have you ever seen the show I don't know if it's still on. I don't think it is, but there was a show called Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Some adults on that show were not smarter than fifth graders. How can they not be smarter than a fifth grader? How is a fifth grader better at math and science and history than some of these grown-ass adults? They've learned more. It's possible for everyone. So yeah, I could get my ass kicked by a 5-year-old when it comes to algebra. Or 5-year-old? Fifth graders, the fuck? Someone in the chat says, you have lag comp, that hurts skill. Every video game you've ever played has lag compensation. If it didn't, it wouldn't work. I've seen people lose perfectly normal gunfights by missing or by being slower on the draw or not being positioned properly and blaming lag compensation that they didn't get the kill. You can't escape lag compensation. Lag compensation and engine issues and stuttering and people that have bad bandwidth and they play and their ping is all over the place and they kill you around corners. That's going to happen in every game. I've never played a game where that doesn't happen. I've played games where it happens more or when it happens less, but it's still a constant throughout any game I've ever played. Dedicated servers, host-based games, games with 20 hertz netcode, 20 hertz tick rate on their servers, and games with 60 hertz. I've never seen it not happen. Rainbow Six got dedicated servers and did all those updates back in the day, and I still will peek a corner, go back around, turn my head, start walking, and then get killed. And in the kill cam, I was standing in front of the window. That's just the nature of online games. But no, so the reason people don't want to talk about it, and the reason a milsim player doesn't want to talk about it, is because, well, a milsim player might think that, well, I'm playing a military simulator. This is the pinnacle of skill because it's more like real life. Wrong. I mean, yeah, you might be really good at the milsim, but does that mean you're good at Call of Duty? Does that mean you're good at Doom or Destiny? These all have their different meta. Some of them are more broken. Some of them are more hand-holdy. I think Destiny is very hand-holdy. I think it's very dependent on who has the better RNG drop. I think it's very dependent on super abilities, which I think are kind of cheesy. Same with Black Ops 3, and in cases as well, Infinite Warfare. Well, almost about the same in both. There's things that just can kill you. But dying doesn't mean you're not skilled. It's what you do when you respawn. Missing doesn't mean you're not accurate. It's what you do after you miss. I miss all the time, but what I try to learn to do is correct my aim. My first shot missed, my second one won't is kind of the idea. I lost that life, but I won't lose the next. What gets frustrating is when you constantly die in ways that you feel like you can't counter, but you never want to think about the fact that you're giving people deaths they can't counter. Oh yeah, when I flank up behind people, that depends if everyone has the technology to get rid of lag compensation. Unless you're all plugged into the same router, there's going to be latency differentials. So something has to compensate for the fact that you're in Wisconsin and I'm in Idaho and we're playing, and yeah, there's going to be differences. Dur. I'm not trying to like make fun of you, but there's misconceptions about that. You can't get rid of lag comp. Even if everyone in the entire world had fiber internet, there would still be latency. There's latency from your controller to your console. So yeah, there's going to be latency from your household internet to somebody else's household internet. And when they play, the game has to compensate for the variables. Battlefield, COD, Rainbow, everything. Are you talking about Gage's comment? Sorry, I'm not really... Oh, do you think... well, no, you'll always need lag compensation. Sorry. Yeah. I'm not reading the chat properly. I'm sorry, guys. Call of Duty is easy. I'm being serious. It's easier to learn than other games, but I guarantee you, I know people that'll kick your ass in it. Does that mean... what? The thing is it all is dependent on who you're playing against, too. Halo is really easy if I'm AFK. Do you see what I mean? Do you guys base your but will you always feel it? It'll always have to be there It's always there anyway, and you only think you feel it when you miss shots. I'm not just targeting you. But okay, so let's talk about lag comp for a second. We'll talk about skill in a second here. So we'll talk about lag compensation. Even if lag compensation was to stop and it wasn't necessary anymore, that universe wouldn't exist. The technology that would mean that we're all hooked up to one central main device and would all have to be relatively equal distances away from it with all of the same hardware in our houses. Well, then the latency would be your TV and monitor, your controller, and then your reaction time. All of those come together, and then that'd be nice, but lag compensation is usually something people call out when they miss shots or lose a kill. You're always feeling it. It's always there. It's always every kill you've ever gotten. Do you think that's because of skill? Do you think that all of your kills are because you're a skilled player that deserves those kills, and every one of your deaths, or half of your deaths, or a fourth of your deaths, are because of bullshit? What about the deaths you give up? Like, what about the deaths that you cause? But there's a level of latency that isn't felt. Well, we're talking about latency or latency compensation. Because latency compensation is what I was talking about. There's levels. Yeah, when I play Rainbow, mostly I don't feel the latency between me and other players. Other times I die or get kills in a way that I don't think I deserved because, well, welcome to online games and the flawed nature of software. Okay, sorry guys. So let's say here that lag compensation was no longer necessary and everything was solved. Wow, that's amazing. Everything's amazing now. Well, maybe it's amazing. It has to be a couple where lag comp isn't in effect. Wait. Oh, here's some of the... Are you nibbas with 2 capital B's? Are you nibbas talking about the multiverse theory? I'm sorry for post listeners. My chat's giving me a headache. Okay, but what I'm saying is that lag compensation will always be involved. You can limit latency. Well, okay. Okay, you guys actually can see that on there. Okay, so when I play guitar, there's latency between what I play and what I hear. But this is not even close to felt or able to be differentiated. This is what I'm referring to. And okay, so here's the thing. If that was to be fixed, every device would have to be connected to one humongously powerful device that would consume so much power and data that it'd be impossible. We'd all have to be connected to it with the same hardware. So basically be like one big LAN, like one giant fucking Cisco router, like in South Park, and it's fucking sitting in a military base. We'd all have to go through that. If we all went through that and we were all hardwired into that with these very special fiber cables, yes, you could remove latency as much as possible to the point that it's not felt. If you're not gonna do that, then you're fucked. It's not gonna happen. So that's what I'm saying. So, okay. So, talking about skill in first-person shooters. Yes, connection will get in the way of your skill all the time. Every game, cry me a river. Every game since the beginning of time in online gaming, something's going to get in the way of your connection. Something's going to get in the way of your packets. You're going to miss shots you didn't deserve to miss. You're going to die around corners you shouldn't have died around. That's just going to happen. The fact is, back to what I was saying, the skill is relative, and the fact that that fact will make people mad. No one wants to hear that the skill is relative to the game, because that means they're bad at the game. I've met people that say Call of Duty's a baby game, and I go 1v1 me in it. Do you have one? Well, yeah, I don't play it. Okay, fight me in it. No, why not? It's easy. And if you can get them to say, well, no, you're probably better at it, or you play it more, that's when you laugh. Yes, that's every game. Counter-Strike is easy when you're good at Counter-Strike, but I guess what it would depend upon is, I don't know, who you're playing against. My girlfriend's not very good at Rainbow. Okay, Rainbow Six, she hasn't played it as much. She plays more Overwatch, and so she's not great at Rainbow. She's saved us some games, though. She's won us some matches, and she's pretty competent. She's played shooters for a long time, so, you know, I know some guys, and if you're watching, my friends are watching this, I'm sorry, but I know some guys that have played more Rainbow than her, more shooters than her, that choke easier kills than she has. So I'm impressed with my baby. So there's that. If I was to 1v1 her, I would probably win. I have like an 80% chance of winning. Maybe 90. Because I know more about the game than she does, and I'm better at it. If I was to fight my friend Jingles or my friend Dylan, I might have to sweat a little bit. My friend Dylan doesn't like 1v1s as much in Rainbow Six because he says he gets too tense, or was that someone else? I forget. My dog is barking. Okay, she's done barking. Okay, so yeah, it would be relative to who I'm fighting. So the skill level required, let's say in Battlefield. Yes, okay, so in Battlefield, I could sit on a hill all game with a bipoded sniper and never worry about a damn thing. I could do that. And I could maybe go the whole game with a couple of kills and 0 deaths. That's a decent KD, but I'm not exactly very good. I didn't do poorly, but it's not exactly it's not that great. Okay, so that's a fact. But what if I actually went out and okay, no, actually, let's make it this way. I stay on that hill next round, and someone on their team gets on an opposing hill and is a way better shot than me. Do you think I'm going to have as good as a game? No, I'm not. It's easy to lay there on the grass in Battlefield and spot people and take pop shots across the map. That's easy. But let's say somebody on their team is a better sniper than me. Suddenly it's not easy. That's how it works. So in Call of Duty, yes, the aiming mechanics, the shooting mechanics, the recoil management, that's all easy. It moves exactly how you'd expect it to move. It's a nice 60 FPS shooter on any platform you play it on. It's really, you have to have a pretty bad PC to get less than 60 FPS on COD, sorry to say. So it's a nice, smooth, intuitive game with some easy gun mechanics. But then it comes down to map knowledge. Then it comes down to, okay, well, where are the nade spots? What's the best class? What's the best class to use? Some people might play Call of Duty going into it thinking it's easy. But maybe they'll use a perk that makes their class less optimal. Maybe they lose because they're not playing to the strength of their gun. So they get some gunfights won, and they're doing that, but they don't win the match because they're not positioning themselves right. Maybe they don't know how to play the objective. Maybe they don't know the maps as well. Maybe they don't know how to call in certain streaks. I've known people, they call in streaks and they get 0 kills with them. I have that problem because I don't know the map flow. I don't remember the map flow of certain games. That's a big one. Call of Duty, if you really want to get good at Call of Duty, play a lot of it and learn where people go. If you can predict player movement in Call of Duty, you're going to win way more matches. That comes from studying where enemies are coming from, where they're going, and where they're posting up. Call of Duty is kill or be killed, and most gunfights happen within a second, usually not longer. You have very little time to react, and it requires you to be consistently good. Not good for one round, not good for one match, not good in a support role. It requires you, in order to do well, I don't mean doing decent like I do in my gameplays. I mean doing good, better than me, way better than me. You have to be consistently quick, accurate, and have understanding of the maps, nade spots, perks, class creation, and again, just the way the fucking game works. So, that's a fact. So, I'll repeat this like the 4th time. Not because you guys aren't getting it, just to summarize everything. Skill is relative to the game. That fact will make people angry because it doesn't help, it doesn't aid the idea that they're playing a better, more skill-based game. It shoots down elitist narratives that some people need to cling on to. So nobody wants to hear it. Yes, some games, I think Rainbow's harder than COD. I think Rainbow's harder than Battlefield. I think Battlefield's, I don't think Battlefield's harder than Call of Duty, but I think Battlefield requires a much wider set of skills than Call of Duty. To be a good Battlefield player, there's more things to account for. I don't think they're necessarily hard. Maybe it's because I'm not new to Battlefield. They're not hard, but there's more to think about. It's why it's harder for me to come back into Battlefield after not playing it. Because it's like, oh, recoil, spread, the right attachments to use, how to do the helicopter, how to do this, how to do that, where to park this, where's the best place to snipe, what's the best attachments, all of that good juice. Okay, let's read the chat. So is it best to buy bad internet and hope to get free kills? No. You'll probably lose more gunfights because of that. What I'm saying is that, okay, so somebody was saying, I'm saying that there can be a kill or a battle in a game where lag isn't in effect. There will always be a latency, but yes, there will be kills because of lag and not because of lag. If somebody was playing and they missed their shots and lost the gunfight, then there you go. Maybe you won it by because of your latency, or maybe they did have a momentary loss of packets that lost them the gunfight, but you can't really process that, or you can't think that way. If every time I got a kill, I'm like, huh, they lost their packets. Like, I don't think that would work. Have you ever played Left 4 Dead? No. Wait. Yes. 1v1 in Rainbow Six seems strange because every character has a different gun that are effective at different ranges. Different characters have different hitboxes, and the maps would really favor the defender. But you're forgetting the fact that even though it's all one shot headshot meta, the P226 can take somebody out across the map as long as they hit them in the head. So that's a thing. So and no, it doesn't favor the defender. In fact, sometimes the defender can only be one place without being seen, whereas the attacker can be any place without being seen. If I was fighting a cap can and I was Fuse, we both have let's think. Yes, cap can versus Fuse, Makarov only. The pistol only. And you had that duel. I can be anywhere. Even if I don't use my gadget, I can be anywhere. He can only be in the building. He can set up and wait for me. But if he doesn't kill me, if I find out where he is by droning, and he doesn't know that I found that out, he's fucked. So I 1v1 my buddy Gamer Central the other day, and he didn't hear my drone come up behind him while he was hiding on the map Oregon. So he had this really good dirty line of sight on me. I came in through the bottom doorway of Oregon by the construction site. He was behind a barrel, and I sprinted past the barrel and shot him in the head, and he screamed. He's like, how'd you know where I was? I'm like, I droned you. He's like, I didn't hear the drone. So attackers can be anywhere. So that's the thing. In my opinion, skill is how well you're able to support your team in a way where there's a fighting chance of victory. Basically, yeah, you're being the most useful person, sure. JRN's trying to type something. Let's see if he figures it out. It's your boy Landon. Hey man, how's it going? I'm doing fine. Why I love that W. It made it harder to predict player movement, so pure gun skill more prevalent. Yeah, it was way more reactionary. I love and don't love that. I think Infinite Warfare would have been a better game without advanced movement. But yeah, people like the advanced movement Call of Duties because, yeah, there was less ability to predict. And you can really just it's just constant bamboozling and gunfights. Okay, so let's talk about how long have we been going on here? An hour and 10? I think we're going to end the cast here, guys. I wanted to do this for about an hour, so I'm 10 minutes over. And I can save these topics for next week or this weekend. My phone sucks ass. Sorry. It's okay. Okay. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out and watching the podcast. I appreciate that. Sorry I was bad at reading the chat earlier. So yeah, good podcast. 0 drop frames, 0 skips. Sorry that there was a glitch earlier, but what are you going to do? Okay, so I'm glad you guys had fun. Thank you, Thousand Fool, for the donation. God, see this Thousand Fool up here on the top? Kick him off of there, guys. Kick him. Can 8 of you just donate me like $100,000? That would be good. Oh man, if only everyone on the planet gave everybody $1. I've never taken after all. What the fuck? Oh, someone asking if I'm on Adderall? No. You just gotta. Okay, anyway. See you later, guys. And no, the dollar thing doesn't work. It would loop around and everybody would just come out with $1. I think I did the math on that once. And it would all just... No, wait. No, it would... Oh, fuck. I figured it out years ago. God damn it. If you guys can figure that out, tweet me it on Twitter. My Twitter is @the1boom with underscores underneath the T. The T word, the O word, and the B word. Oh, fuck. I gotta go. Okay. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye. Goodbye.